I was not born a king, nor did I inherit a throne. I rose, not by favor of birth, but by the sheer weight of my ambition, the clarity of my vision, and the power of my will. They called me many things, reformer, tyrant, genius, monster, but I was, above all else, a man who believed in action. From my youth in Corsica, I felt the fire of destiny. The world, I believed, was not fixed. It could be reshaped, refashioned by those bold enough to defy its order. I saw injustice, stagnation, and weakness in the old world, and I resolved not merely to live within it, but to bend it to my command. The revolution gave me my opportunity. France, torn by chaos and longing for strength, was fertile ground for a man who understood both the sword and the soul of the people. I did not seek power for its own sake, but to enact order, to impose logic where there had been madness. The armies of Europe stood against us, yet I turned defeat into dominion. My campaigns were not just battles of guns and bayonets, they were chess matches with kings, poetry written in blood, symbols of transformation. In war, I found purity. In strategy, I found truth. There is a clarity that descends upon a man when he knows he may die tomorrow. That clarity guided me. It removed doubt. People often ask whether I loved war, whether the bloodshed excited me. No, war was a tool, an extension of political necessity. It was not glory I sought, but results. I believed in merit, in rising by talent, not title. My soldiers followed me because they saw that I shared their rations, marched at their side, and rewarded courage above lineage. I remembered every battlefield, every night in the rain with my men. The cries of the wounded, the roar of the cannon, the silence after victory, all of it remains. I did not command from afar. I was there, always, because a general must understand not just tactics, but fear. He must walk among it and yet remain untouched by it. That is leadership. They say I crowned myself emperor out of arrogance. Perhaps, but what king had ever earned his crown more completely than I? I did not inherit France. I saved her from anarchy and made her great. My empire was not born of vanity, but of necessity. The old monarchies of Europe hated what I represented. A world not ruled by bloodlines, but by vision. They feared the fire of new ideas, that a man born without title could redraw the map of Europe with the edge of a sword and the force of a pen. And yet I was no mere soldier. My legacy, I believe, lies not only in battlefields but in laws. The Napoleonic Code was my true monument, a structure of justice, reason, and civil order that outlived my reign and shaped nations. In it, I stripped away privilege, codified equality before the law, and ensured the protection of property. That was the revolution made permanent. When I thought of power, I thought of how it must serve the people, not enslave them. That is why I built schools, roads, institutions. War was only the hammer. The real work was the architecture of a new society. Yet power corrupts, does it not? I was not blind to it. I knew that in grasping the world, I might lose parts of myself. But to do nothing, to remain timid, that too is a kind of crime. I made mistakes. I trusted too easily in the loyalty of others. I believed Russia would yield as others had. That March, that winter, it haunts me. The cold did not just kill my soldiers, it killed something within me. Even the greatest plans are vulnerable to the wrath of nature and the vanity of men. And still, I returned. After Elba, after exile, I walked once more into the heart of France, and the people rose. Not because they feared me, but because they remembered. For a brief moment, the world held its breath. One last gamble, one last dream, and then, Waterloo. Defeat, final and complete. But even in that failure, I did not crumble. I faced it, I wrote, I reflected. They sent me to St. Helena, a rock in the sea, hoping time would erase my name. Let them try. For what is a man's legacy? It is not measured in days of rule, but in the ideas he leaves behind. I am remembered not merely for what I conquered, but for what I changed. Europe, after me, could not return to what it had been. The kings who thought themselves eternal now understood they ruled by the grace not of God, but of circumstance. Do you think ambition is a flaw? I do not. It is the fire that drives men to rise, to invent, to leave their mark. Without ambition, Caesar would have stayed in Gaul, Columbus would never have sailed, and I would have died unknown. Yes, I am ambitious. Yes, I was ruthless when I had to be. But I never acted without purpose. I sought to shape the world, to bring light to the dark corners of power, to break the chains of privilege and replace them with the law of reason. If that is a crime, history will judge me.